All right. The best gaming mouse is painfully boring from your boy Bardos.
Try YouTube. Today I will be reviewing the Logitech G Pro X Superlight 2. I'll tell you why I think it's the best mouse right now out there, and I'll tell you what I mean when I say best, and I will also tell you why I think it's the most boring mouse by far out there. Let me start
Yeah.
by telling you my
Okay. So I got like the GPX one with the little dots and like a grippy thing. So that's what I've been rocking with.
experience with the old G Pro wireless shape and class of mice.
Ooh, he's playing the finals.
This is the very first G Pro. As you can see, it's
Oh, wait.
kind of nasty. It's old. I used this for years. I used it
Hey, is that the OG one?
a lot. It has grips on it because the
And I are those the stock skates too? Dang.
coating on this one degraded really quickly. And it's the very first batch which had a lot of
Bro, do we have like the same grips?
double clicking issues. So this one always double clicked, and then at some point it just became unusable. Not a great product, but still, everyone started using it when it got released. Why? Because in its own way, it was kind of revolutionary. It was the very first wireless mouse that was light enough with a shape that wasn't too opinionated like the G305, that didn't need batteries,
Yeah.
and that whose wireless sensor was really, really completely solid. Like,
Yeah, and it also helps that a couple people wasn't this the time that some people were like bringing this mouse into like Overwatch tournaments and started popping off with that. So I think that also helps, like, marketing wise, because everyone's just bumming around being like, oh, what mouse pad, what's this, what's that, what's this, what's that, what are you using, what sense, what monitor, what. So
blind tests cannot tell the difference with wired versus wireless. And I can tell you many years before that, people tried doing wireless. I think Razer, I had some Razer wireless mouse, and the latency was really noticeable. This is not like the G Pro wireless or like the modern wireless mice. So in its own way, it was kind of a big gap, and they spent a lot in marketing. They got a lot of pros to start using it,
Yeah.
so it really gained popularity. But honestly, at the time, I'm not sure there were mice that were much better on the market.
Oh.
The shape is completely uninspiring. Now
Uninspiring.
this is another G Pro wireless that I had to buy because of the problems that I mentioned with the other one. Was still my main mouse. Funnily enough, this is the mouse that I started my whole aim training journey on, and I got Grandmaster on this mouse.
Oh, dang.
And actually, the Logitech mousepad, the Logitech G240, and the Logitech G Pro wireless, the base one, were my main setup because I was a Counter-Strike player, and that was kind of like the go-to.
God dang.
And at the time, I didn't have as many mice to play around with, so I went with the safest choice.
Yeah.
And that's what I played with. Then,
Yeah, I mean, because when you talk about aim training to like a brand new person, you don't want to be so polarizing in what kind of, I don't know, peripherals you're trying to like recommend to them. I mean, you don't really get into the minutia of the shape of the mouse and all that jazz until like later, until you reach like some sort of skill ceiling, or you put like X amount of hours in. If I'm trying to, if I got a buddy and he's like trying to ask me for advice on like, what mouse to get, or what to get this, what to get that, I'm probably gonna tell him to get the safest thing.
you know what happened? This came out. Why? Because the market was catching up, and 80 grams on the first G Pro wireless was a little too much, and then they released the Super line. Slightly
yeah.
better coating, definitely better mouse feed with a PTFE with no additives, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Still micro USB, which was already kind of starting to be outdated a little bit at the time when this came out, and only 61 grams versus the 80 grams of the G Pro
Yep.
wireless. This wasn't as big of a jump from the market as the original G Pro wireless was, but it was still a big jump. So if you had the G Pro
Yeah.
wireless, you really wanted to have this super light after that. It was like a clear upgrade. Why wouldn't you want to
Oh, dang. And you got the long hair right there. God dang.
have that? Better feed, slightly better sensor, better coating or slightly better coating, lighter weight, etc. So after that, I also
Yeah, I would probably say that is probably the first step. I mean, that, from like original G Pro to super light, that was probably the first time where there was a jump, but then it wasn't as big as going from everything else to the G Pro. It went from like everything to the G Pro, and then G Pro X. Like it started to like do a little bit of a plateau. Like yes, it was still like better because it was about 20 grams lighter, but I think we're starting to near that point now where you can't be as safe with your mouse shape. You have to figure out something else to try to cater to the aim guy. Be it, you know, either extremely light mouse, you know, figure out like a better shape. I mean, and you know, when you talk about shape, it's like understandably the G Pro and the GPX are supposed to be safe shapes in that they were supposed to kind of be ambidextrous. I know the super light. I think you can only get like a right-handed one. I'm not sure if you can get a lefty one because there are no like side buttons on the opposite side. So yeah, like you just have to get like you can't have like a safe shape anymore. You like, and that's the gamble that I don't think anybody really like wants to take, that next like jump up.
Also have this. It seems that the for some reason the G Pro Wireless almost marked different eras in my history. This mouse I won the day that I joined Aim Labs in an Aim Labs competition. It was a
Nice.
scattershot competition, and I won. It was a G2X Logitech competition. So this mouse, since I had for free, I use for experimenting. So I tried ceramic feet on this, core
Yep.
pads.
Yep.
So I've tried everything on the Superlight.
Yep.
And
As most aim bros do. I think aim bros and bodybuilders are kind of similar in that they will try anything to get the desired result. Like oh my god, I got a ton of memes on my shelf right back there. I got that PTFE sleeve. That was a mistake. That what was that thing? There was like some bullshit thing on Facebook that I fell for. It was like a PTFE thing you stick under like I don't know, the heel of your hand, and you like strap a strap over top of it. That was a meme. I got those was it those super light glass the glass skates for like a week. That was like the smoothest aiming I've ever aimed. But then after that, it would slow down, and I was like, God dang it, this sucks. More money in the trash. So yeah, I have spent plenty an embarrassingly large amount of money on the memes of aim shit.
I'll be honest, for basically anyone, I would recommend just sticking to the default skates. I don't see why changing them. They're good enough.
Yeah.
Good enough should probably be the main sentence about the G Pro X. It's good enough. It's almost too good enough. It's annoyingly so. And now we have this. Finally, they moved to USB-C. It's a little bit lighter. It's at 57/58 grams. And they slightly changed the shape of the feet for some reason. They now have 2000 hertz on a...
Well, they honestly, they probably changed the shape of the feet so that they could try to make some sort of money off of their own like custom pad or custom PTFE skates or whatever. You know, just so you can't like overlap the regular Superlight with the Superlight 2 skates. It's like, oh, you know, there's a ton of third-party skates that you could buy for your Superlight, but then we got to change it up a little bit because we can't make it that easy for the consumer, which is really fucking annoying. But haha, yeah, they make dots, so fuck you.
A new wireless receiver. They changed the switches to optical switches, which honestly I like. Some people say they're a little too stiff compared to the other G Pro X Superlight. Personally, I really like it. I think it's a small upgrade. It's a much smaller upgrade than the Superlight was to the base G Pro Wireless. So basically, we're just building on top of something that was good enough, and it's now even more good enough. I'm gonna start with the bar score instead of doing it at the end. The bar score is the new method that I'm using to compare mice based on my performance in a specific AimLab series of benchmark. You can watch this video if you want to know more about it. And I want to start with that because then I want to kind of talk about how the Superlight, to me, the Superlight 2 specifically, almost signifies the current state of the gaming peripherals and why I find it to be extremely boring and why I think it's the best mouse and I'm not happy about it. So here we go. This is the second time that I'm running the bar score. I ran the first time it was on the...
Let me move. I'm going to move. I'm in the way. Okay.
Hard pace, which got 82.5. I did it with the GPX2 and it got a very close 83.5. So right now the GPX2 slightly beats the hard pace. I actually did the GPX2 twice. So you can see that I played a lot of runs with it to test it. And it got exactly the same score, 83.5 both times.
Dang.
As I noted down here, because of the way the hard pace is shaped, the GPX is actually a little more fatiguing to me because of its very boring potato shape that doesn't really do much for the base of my palm because it doesn't have a pronounced hump. But still, I perform better with it. I don't really know why. It also could be a little bit of a bias because I played years with the G Pro wireless shape, so maybe it's a little bit of that.
Oh dang, could I be griefing myself by using the GPX for so long? Oh Jesus.
But yeah, right now the GPX2, out of only 2 that I've tested with the bar score, does hold number 1. So it gets 76 benchmark score, 7.5 feeling score. Honestly, I should even pull lower because of, again, what I think it signifies for the gaming peripheral market. And you can, if you want, you can pause the video and look at the individual numbers here.
Bro, the GPX and the GPX2 is like the Honda Civic of mouse. It's like, or no, like it's like a Ford Camry. It's like the most reliable, safe, boring mouse/car. And that's so funny. I mean, but honestly, does everybody need to have a Corvette of mices? I mean, yeah, I mean, a mouse is like I don't know, like a modest investment. I mean, if you want to get like a really good one, like what's the GPX2, like 150 or something upwards maybe? Or is it a little less? I know, what was this? The Superlight was 130, I think it, but it may have gone down. I'm not sure. But I mean, if you want, like, I guarantee you, dude, if somebody comes out with like a better mouse that they think can trounce the GPX2, you're gonna bet that you're gonna be paying at least like $200+ for that thing. And it's like, yeah, it's like a luxury thing, but like, I don't know, is that really worth it? I mean, I don't know.
Okay, so now let's move on to why I think that the G Pro X Superlight 2, which is also a mouthful, is just not that fun and it's kind of boring, and why still it is the best mouse out there. Let me put it like this. If I was tasked with coaching a random person and they had to perform in some esport and I had like only a month and I had to pick a mouse, unless they had extremely small hands or an extreme fingertip, I would have to pick the Superlight 2 because it's just so boring. The shape it's so boring. It's a potato. People call it a potato shape. It makes sense. This is as opinionated as it gets. It has a little bit of a shape here on the side. This is as opinionated as it gets. You can barely feel it.
Oh my God.
Why? Well, it's light enough and the sensor is definitely good enough and it has 2000 hertz if it makes a difference. I don't think it does personally. And
yeah, I hear that a ton of times. Like the whole 1000 versus 2000 hertz. And I know, like, in terms of like monitor refresh rate, like the jump from 60, 144, 240, 360, 500 plus or whatever, like I didn't think that I could tell the difference in terms of like a monitor refresh rate in terms of hertz from like the jump from like 1000 to 2000, because that's just how mice roll, you know, with like the smoothness and whatnot and like ghosting. I don't know if that's gonna be worth it.
And it has good enough clicks and a good enough shape for most grips and hand sizes. For reference, my hands are 19.5 centimeters by about 10. and I claw. My grip is kind of a claw. You can see how I grip here. This is some people call it a relaxed claw, and the GPX works well enough.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with all of this is that I don't know where we go from here. This is almost like the average of all the things that are good about mice, and it signifies how I'm not sure where we go from here. Like, yes, maybe the GPX3 will have some titanium alloy and it's going to be 39, 40 grams.
Yeah.
Is that big of a deal at this point? I've had a chance to try extremely light mice. I own a very, very large number of gaming peripherals and mice. I've tried some custom mice that have GPX shape and are in the like 30 to 40 grams. I've got the Phantom Mouse Ultralight Pegasus. I'm getting an Ultralight X. It doesn't change that much, really, at this point. I think the jump from 80 to 60 was bigger than the jump from 60 to 40. It's still a nice jump, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that's like a big deal. And maybe I will be a little bit of an old gamer right now, but I remember the big jumps.
So like when you talk about like mouse weight, another thing that you could take into account is like most people that aim probably aim with like their right arm, and like if you were to like weigh an average arm from like the elbow to the hand, that's gonna weigh like some amount, like I don't know, 5-10 pounds or something like that, maybe 15, I don't know. When you're talking about grams, like for the weight of the mouse, it's like I don't think your arm can tell that much of a difference. It's kind of like when if you're working out, right? And you're let's say you can deadlift 500 pounds. The difference between 500 and 550, your body can't tell the difference that much. I mean, yes, it can, but it's not going to feel like, oh, I can definitely feel this 50 plus pounds. The only thing you're really concerned about is the technique that you're using. So, I mean, yes, you can go lighter and lighter, and you are going to be able to tell the difference in that, like, lighter mouse, it's going to bring out the shakes more in your hand, but the main thing that you want and should be concerned about with aiming is your technique.
First gaming mouse was a Logitech G9 and then a Logitech G9X. These were laser sensor, which sucked. They spun out. The high DPI thing was known to be good, but we were actually wrong back then because it was actually really bad back then. So usually you bought the mouse with the biggest DPI, you used the big DPI, and then you had terrible smoothing and other problems with the sensors. And then it was extremely heavy, even though it was kind of small and uncomfortable, even though it had 2 grips. Then we moved on, I had the SteelSeries Sensei, still heavy, a little better. And then the Death Adder, weird shape, very opinionated, but still good enough. And then we kept moving from there. And all of these were kind of big jumps. Moving to a good optical sensor for the first time was a big deal. And then the very first time you tried a good wireless, even with the G305, even without the G Pro wireless, massive deal. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, this feels really good. The first time you try a really light mouse, like the G Pro Wireless X Superlight, big deal. Now, what is the next big deal? I feel like we are kind of plateauing as a community of gamers, and is this as good as it gets? And then what if...
That's a good question. Are we plateauing, and is this it? Have we reached the final destination? Unless some company wants to take a stab at it and try to make something very dynamic. Like, I don't think a company can like take a bigger risk in making a new mouse without it and them trying to like come up with like the ultimate mouse and the mouse not being ridiculously expensive, because I honestly don't think that they're gonna like try to like reinvent the wheel. They're just gonna add a bunch of bells and whistles, or actually probably take away bells and whistles like to make it lighter, I mean. But if they're gonna try to say that it is like X times better, they're gonna hike the price up, dude, like a shitload, like $300-$400. If they're gonna make a statement like, "Oh, our mouse is the mouse," all right, then they're probably gonna spend a shitload on marketing, try to get like some pro to use it in some tournament, and if that person wins, then oh my god, the marketing thing worked, and we're gonna sell a bunch of mouses, and regardless of whether or not the mouse is actually good. I mean, who knows? That's really what I see.
I am not the type of person that can buy 50 different mice to find out what
Yeah.
specific shape works for me. Of
Yeah.
course, like I will have to buy something boring like the super light. Is that all we have? Can we not?
You know what I've always wanted out of like a company since like I started aim training? It's like I don't know if this would even be possible, but like if you want to get like a really good like shape for your mouse, take like a piece of Play-Doh or clay and just hold it like a mouse and just I don't know, kind of form it around your hand and just set it down on like a flat surface to have like a mold to create like a custom shape. That's honestly what in an ideal world, all right, this probably would never happen. Just grip a piece of clay or piece of Play-Doh, set it down into your desired, like claw position, palm, whatever position you want to grip your mouse with, and then just mail that thing back and be like, okay, take this shape, take this mold, and then make a mouse for me like that. Granted, that process is probably going to take like, I don't know, a couple $100 to do that, but like no one would ever actually do that. But, but if you're trying to come up with some sort of safe mouse, it's like they're polar opposites. You either make a really safe mouse or you have to make your own personal customized shape mouse.
Not have any more big jumps? I don't think 8,000 hertz is the next big jump. First of all, Windows doesn't really play well with that. They're trying to put patches on it. Something happened with Windows 11 where like now they're coalescing inputs in.
Really?
Still doesn't work with most games. We have to wait for games and engines to start using this new Windows thing called raw input buffer. Valon, to my knowledge, is the only one that's doing it pretty decently right now.
Oh, dang.
But even then, let me put it this way. The first time you went from a 60 Hz to a 120 Hz, and I remember that, eye-opening, massive change.
Yeah.
Why? Well,
Talk about monitors?
60 Hz means 16.6 milliseconds between two frames, okay?
Yeah.
That's a lot of milliseconds. Whereas 120 Hz means 8.3 milliseconds, okay? So you're saving 8 milliseconds of latency. You can really see that. Now, I have a 540 hertz monitor in front of me. I am not even confident, even though I've got a really fast visual reaction time, whether I could tell in a blind test the difference between 540 and 360.
Ooh.
Why? Because it's not a really big difference in terms of milliseconds. So then you go to 1,000 hertz on the polling rate of your mouse to 2,000. Well, that's half a millisecond of a difference. A lot of people, I think, even good gamers, might struggle, even on a high hertz monitor, to tell the difference between 500 and 1,000 hertz.
Yeah.
So
if you do that blind testing, like, oh, look at this one, tell me which one is which, like one of those type of tests. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to do that.
I don't buy that, like, the next big thing is high hertz. Is it nice? Is it an improvement? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it the next big thing? No. If most people can't even tell the difference in a blind test, it's not the next big thing. The change in weight, anyone could tell the difference. It's really noticeable. 60 versus 120 hertz, massively noticeable if you're actually a gamer. Maybe only my grandma wouldn't be able to tell the difference between 60 and 120 hertz on a monitor.
Yeah.
But, high hertz is not it. So what is it? Is it at 30, 40 grams? Is it the next big deal? Well, first of all, we've had...
I don't think it's going to be the weight because we already have a bunch of mouses that have that are really low weight. But I honestly think it has to be the shape or... It's got to be the shape.
Mice like that for quite some time now. It's not that big of a deal. I think the actual big deal to move forward is to find your own shape, which, as I was saying, unless people come up with like some actual modular cool mouse, then it's not a gimmick. Maybe that's the next big deal where you really...
What was that one mouse where it was like, I forgot what company it was called, but it was like RAT, the rat. And it was this... it's like the stereotypical like PC gamer mouse that you would think a PC gamer would have because it's like it had all these knobs, and I think my buddy Kyle got it one time, dude. It had all these like knobs to like extend the mouse or make it smaller, widen it or close it out, and it had like so many like weird buttons. It was actually like looking it was like looking at a transformer. Like you go see the Michael Bay Transformers and you see how just busy the mouse just looks. There's like random edges and surfaces. It's like, why is this here? This is shiny. This is matte. This is plastic. this is metal. Why? It doesn't make sense. It just looks cool for no reason. Yeah, that if you're talking about that type of mouse, then I don't know, man.
Find your fine-tuned shape, but it's just so hard. I don't like the fact that now we have to default to a potato shape because it's good enough. So I don't know. This kind of got me thinking that maybe we should figure out if there's any type of better input device, or as you saw in my other video, which you can watch here from the ROG Hardbase, maybe the next step is software that kind of helps you at least fine-tune the mouse to something that actually makes you better, and it does so by using actual math and science to figure out what works better for you. But even then,
ChatGPT will save us all.
and they can't physically change the mouse, it's only going to change the settings of the mouse. So it still makes the whole situation kind of boring, and it feels like it has plateaued now. It's very boring. Very, very boring. I hope that soon we will...
But on the flip side of the boring mouse, when you talk about aiming and aim training and like PC gaming and whatnot, it's kind of nice to just take out a variable and just have it as nothing. When you're trying to... I mean, I've never coached someone, but if you are coaching someone, having the mouse be a non-factor is actually a nice thing because you don't have to worry about it. If you're like, oh, what mouse should I get? Oh, just go get this one. It's a safe shape, and just figure out your grip and your position, how you're sitting, and all this other stuff. It's just a variable that you can take out, so it's not all bad.
Oh, by the way, let's not even talk about controllers, okay? Controllers are not the right device for first-person shooters. Are they nice so that you can play on your couch or you can play in a comfortable situation?
Okay, here we go. Mask off. Okay, so I don't think controllers are like terrible. The only, what do you call it? The only redeeming factor that controllers have, in my opinion, are, what was it? I think Fortnite does it, and... what is it? It's like that gyro aiming with using the flick stick or whatever. So gyro aiming plus flick stick. That's about the only thing that I can see, controllers having some sort of freedom and whatnot. But I don't know. That's kind of like a hard sell to like the masses of people. Maybe it would have to fall in line of more like the FPS controller bros.
Yes. Aim assist is a crutch that is needed for you to be able to compete. I get that. They're just not the ideal input device because you're mapping something that is your rotation and in the 3D space to the acceleration and speed of your rotation to the stick. It's just weird. It's awkward. The mouse is more well suited for that type of aiming, the type of movement, because you can then move at different speeds on your mousepad, and it will cause different speed flicks or rotations in the 3D space. I'll be honest, the only good games that I think, the controller is really the good input for, like Rocket League or other sports games, FIFA.
Yeah. So one thing that when I try to like break down like an argument is like, so like, let's say my favorite input is mouse and I view controller as lesser. Would my argument that like mouse is better, would that hold true if there was something better than mouse that is harder for me to use? So like if you're trying to teach a controller person how to play on M&K, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a like a speed bump or like a tough part when you first start out. Like obviously it's going to be the toughest when you first start. But is mouse the end all be all of like aiming? I think I saw like some YouTube video somewhere like breaking down like the pen or like an art pen on top of an art pad. Like that could be a thing, because if you're trying to be really precise with like your movements and something, like let's say you're trying to write your name with a mouse, you can write it, but how consistent is it going to be from like every time you write it? How smooth is it going to be versus like an art pen or like a 3D software pen? I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to be more consistent, but I don't know about the smooth factor with that. So I don't know. That's just another thing. So you got like controller, you got mouse and key, and then you have possibly like the art pen type deal. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a meme.
but not FPS games, not even TPS games. That's not it. But I also kind of failed to accept that the mouse, we kind of got it right the first time. And maybe we did. But I'm very interested. I recently saw someone called Kariyu, maybe you guys know them, actually got to Immortal in
Oh.
Valorant using a drawing tablet. And
There you
these
go.
drawing tablets are not optimized for gaming, you know? Maybe they have high refresh rate enough for
I didn't even
drawing, so they
pre-watch
feel
this.
smooth, but they're nowhere close to the type of input latency that a gaming mouse has. So at this point, I'm kind of hoping that some person will create some prototype of a new input device, because I want to give them my money so they can try it. Because really, I'm interested in reaching the very peak of my human performance when it comes to gaming. And I kind of don't want to believe this is all there is to it. Because I've got so many mice, and I don't even know. Right now, I'm maining the Outset AX wireless. Some of you might know that my
Oh, dang. An orange potato.
historical world record in one world historically small was actually with the Outset AX. Kind of like the shape. At least it's on a potato. It's really an interesting mouse, and it kind of looks cool. So I will be doing a review of that next.
All right.
But still, I think I need to see a bigger jump. I don't want to believe that we're now stuck in this race where like it's all about the hertz and the weight of the mouse, and these are diminishing returns to an incredible degree. It's very, very boring. If you know of any company that's doing something more innovative out there, please let me know. I'll give them my money. I'm gonna try whatever they have. I hope that we haven't plateaued like this, because it would be very, very sad after all the massive jumps that I've seen in my almost 20 years of gaming. So that's it. That's my opinion on the current state of it.
Nice.
If you have a friend that's asking you what mouse they should buy, and they have average hands, average grip, you kind of have to tell them the GPX2 or the GPX1. Honestly, I would probably say, what's your budget? Are you rich? Buy the GPX2.
Yeah.
Are you not that rich? Buy the GPX1.
Yeah.
Low budget, probably the Viper Mini, still my choice. But still, too boring. Way too boring. The funny thing is that I almost believe that mouse pads make a bigger difference at this point than mice. Like you're much better off experimenting with mouse pads, because you can actually feel a big difference than you do with mice. There's a bigger difference between Artisan Hien and the GSR than there is between probably any two mice that are kind of the same without any extremes in weight or shape, which kind of tells you something. I might actually make a video about mouse pads and like why I think you should experiment with mouse pads more so than you experiment with mice at this point. Let me know if that would be interesting.
Yes.
Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I'm completely wrong or if you guys agree with me. And I'll see you soon.
Nice. Yeah, when I first started aim training, I was watching all of Bardo's stuff, like doing the Bard pill thing and whatnot, try to like force myself to get better. And there's you know who, and yeah, so you can easily trust like Bardo's opinion on peripherals like mouse pads and all that shit. He's one of the goats, and yeah, looking forward to all the new stuff he's gonna put out. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And on computer, looking forward to anything else he's gonna be putting out. But that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.